After years of rumors and speculation, Willie Nelson finally addressed the stories that once threatened to overshadow his life and career. Government raids, hidden addictions, financial collapse, and family tragedies had followed him for decades. But what surprised fans most was his calm acknowledgement of the false death reports that continue to spread online. He understands why they appear and how easily people believe them. At 92, with his health more fragile than ever, Willie knows time is limited. More than anything, he wants the truth of his life to be known, not the myths. Willie Hugh Nelson was born on April 29, 1933, in Abbott, Texas, a tiny farming town during the depths of the Great Depression. Poverty was not an idea but a daily reality. His parents were teenagers scraping by on cotton-picking wages that barely kept food on the table. When Willie was still an infant, his parents divorced. His father left to look for work, and his mother moved to Oregon for factory jobs, rarely returning. Willie and his sister Bobby were raised by their grandparents in a modest home without electricity or plumbing. Life was hard but steady, and the presence of loss was constant, symbolized by a handmade coffin kept in the living room. Despite the hardships, his grandparents gave him discipline, faith, and music. Gospel songs from the Methodist Church filled the house, and Willie felt something awaken inside him when he heard voices join together in song. At 5, his grandparents ordered a mail-order guitar and ukulele. By 10, he was performing at local dances and gatherings. Music quickly became both refuge and purpose. Even as a child, he understood that music could lift people, even in the harshest circumstances. The emotional wound left by his mother's absence never healed. Willie later admitted that his voice carried that pain, even when he tried to hide it. He learned about loss before he understood love, and that sadness threaded its way through everything he wrote. Working cotton fields from dawn to dusk gave him grit and imagery that would define his songwriting. Music lessons came through correspondence courses, and strict rules required practice before play. The bond between Willie and Bobby grew strong through shared discipline and performance. By his early teens, Willie was already playing paid gigs. He learned quickly that music brought both joy and danger after being struck during a bar fight. Winters were brutal, and he often pawned his guitar to help buy food, then worked relentlessly to get it back. The guitar became a symbol of survival. His grandfather could be harsh, punishing him severely for skipping chores, yet that same man gifted him a new guitar at 13, teaching Willie that pain and hope sometimes come from the same place. At 17, Willie married Martha Matthews, who was pregnant at the time. They had almost nothing, and the marriage quickly became volatile. Willie hustled for work, played honky-tonks for tips, and stayed out late. Their arguments turned violent, leaving deep emotional scars. Children were born into chaos and poverty, and eviction followed eviction. Willie tried college and the military, hoping structure might save him, but neither held him. A back injury ended his Air Force service, and he returned home restless and determined. The years that followed were unstable. He worked radio jobs, played in clubs, sold his guitar to pay debts, and survived a near-fatal car crash that shattered his jaw. With settlement money, he bought a Martin guitar that would stay with him for life. He pressed his own records, failed repeatedly, and even burned his unfinished songs in frustration, unaware he was destroying early drafts of what would become classics. Everything changed when he arrived in Nashville with $20 and a guitar. Songwriting work slowly opened doors. Hello Walls became a massive hit, proving his words had value. Still, he lived hand-to-mouth, writing hundreds of songs a year and playing sessions to survive. Songs like Nightlife revealed his unique blend of country and jazz, though recognition came slowly. His own recordings were often dismissed as too rough or unconventional. Personal chaos followed professional struggle. Marriages ended, relationships overlapped, and regret piled up. Yet the music deepened. Willie's return to Texas helped shape the outlaw country movement, where authenticity mattered more than polish. Albums like Shotgun Willie and Phases and Stages pushed boundaries, telling stories with raw honesty. Then came Red-Headed Stranger, a stripped-down album almost rejected by his label. Instead, it became a cultural moment, proving simplicity could change everything. Success did not protect him from disaster. Bad financial advice left him owing millions to the IRS. In 1990, federal agents seized nearly everything he owned. Fans bought his possessions at auction so he could reclaim them later. Willie responded the only way he knew how, by working, touring, and releasing music until the debt was settled. The collapse nearly broke him but ultimately hardened his resolve. Through it all, Willie remained culturally relevant. Songs like On the Road Again became anthems. Collaborations crossed borders and genres, from Julio Iglesias to reggae legends. He helped form the Highwaymen, filling stadiums and defining an era. His activism was just as powerful. Farm aid raised millions for struggling farmers, turning Willie into a trusted voice beyond music. Loss struck deeply when his son Billy died by suicide in 1991. The grief reshaped Willie forever. He acknowledged his failures as a father and carried regret for the miles his career put between him and his children. Yet he continued, supported by his wife Annie, who stood beside him through financial ruin and recovery. In recent years, health has slowed him. Emphysema forced canceled shows, and pneumonia pushed him to quit smoking. Still, he performs when he can, practices Tai Chi, mentors young artists, and hosts music at his ranch. When fake death stories spread online, he answered with humor, posting a photo of himself resting and reminding the world he was still here. At 92, Willie Nelson is more than a musician. He is a living piece of American history, shaped by loss, resilience, rebellion, and grace. His life was never clean or easy, but it was honest. And as time grows shorter, what he once remembered is not the rumors, but the truth carried in his songs.